Welcome to the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, your guide to motorsports sponsorship. Here's your host, Josh Weesey.
Welcome to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by 4Wheel Parts. Today we have Branden Sorensen on the show, and what's pretty cool is this is almost part of a little series here. Branden is on this show, and then next time we're going to have Amanda Sorensen on, and then we're going to have Camren Sorensen, their 8-year-old brother. So a little bit of family action happening here over the next few weeks. So excited to bring all those to you. But first, there's a few things I want to talk to you about. Starting with the coronavirus, there are so many people impacted by this, and I am confident that you are one of them. So I offer my apologies right now if you're going through hard times. I'm hoping that this show will give you a little bit of entertainment to help get you through those things. But hang in there. This too shall pass, but it is a incredibly unprecedented and challenging time. Now I want to tell you a little bit about 4Wheel Parts, and actually a little bit about how they are trying to help. So in many of their locations, they are still open and available to service you. It might be all locations, honestly. I can't say that confidently right now because things are changing by the hour, but they're open and ready to serve you. Some of you might be struggling, financially right now, and they are offering a 12-month promotional financing term, which is a very good option. Especially if you have a little bit more time to work on your vehicle, things like that. Maybe this is an opportunity for it. But either way, they are available to do what you need right now. And if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to me at any point, or head over to 4wheelparts.com or one of their many locations that they have. I think it's up to 95. In a previous show, I said 92 locations. I believe it is 95 locations across the United States right now. A little bit more about the other partners, too. We've got awesome partners that have allowed us to keep this show going for as long as we have. AMSOIL, they provide amazing lubrication products, and they're a company that runs on freedom. You can find out more at amsoil.com/rider. TopThePodium.com, they're experts in motorsports sponsorship and website creation. And then Crash Act Industries, they provide human protection and extreme racing products. I also want to shout out some of our other partners. First off, UTV Sports Mag. They are giving us the opportunity to publish a column every month called Sponsor This, and we talk about sponsorship. So that's been a ton of fun, and they've got a ton of good articles in there as well. There's MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and of course High Octane Coffee. That is what is coming up next year. Joe Sylvester is going to share his High Octane Coffee marketing tune-up with you. So you'll hear that in just a moment. And last thing before I kind of close out the intro is it's interesting when you really reflect on, how many people surround you and help you on a daily basis, and how, changes in the economy can really impact so many people. And I'm just grateful to look back and see all of these sponsors that have helped make this show possible for as long as they have. I mean, that's just amazing. Even when in such a difficult time, I still got people hanging by me and keeping that support going, which is just fantastic. I know not everybody has that right now. There's a big economic fallout on top of the medical issues that are going on right now in the world. So either way, I just wanted to kind of reflect right now on how fortunate I think that I have been in this show, and I'm just grateful for the companies that have helped me throughout the years. All right, that's it. Let's do the marketing tune-up, and then we will get into the show with Branden Sorensen.
What's up, guys? Joe Sylvester here with your High Octane Coffee marketing tune-up of the day. Today I want to talk about sponsor attraction. Sponsor attraction, to me, is a much better tactic than quote-unquote sponsor hunting. You want to build your brand. You want to establish yourself in the racing community and in the marketing realm of things. And, as a respected individual, as a professional, you don't want to just keep knocking on doors and hoping somebody answers. You want the sponsors to come to you. That is the most ideal situation for you to be in, and it's the most ideal situation for them. Believe it or not, companies do have, people that work for them, or even owners of companies. They take notice on social media. They see what's going on, and they see the brands. They see the people that stand out. Make yourself stand out from the rest. Be very active on social media. Be very active with your press releases. Try to grow your email database. And like I said, build your brand. Make your brand something that a company would be proud to be associated with. And like I said, when they come to you, it's a much better feeling than sitting there all night long sending out 100 emails. I know this from experience, trust me.
Today's show, we have Branden Sorensen on, and actually, if all goes as planned, we're going to have Amanda Sorensen on, your sister, in the very near future, but you got to go first. You're the guinea pig today, but I want to know about you. Tell us about yourself, and then we'll get into your story.
My name is Branden Sorensen, like you just said. I am 15 years old, and right now I'm the youngest professional Formula Drift driver.
Nice.
So right now I compete in drifting. We have 8 stops across the United States, and it is one of the fastest growing motorsports in the world right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's pretty cool. So how do you even start in something like that? I guess that's what we're going to get into here in your background. Like, I want to know your story. How'd you get into motorsports in general? What are the things you kind of did to become what you are here now, the youngest professional drift driver? I want to hear all that stuff.
So my dad is a 20-year veteran in off-road racing. So I was just kind of born into a racing family. And I started competing when I was 3 years old, racing BMX. And by the time I was 5, I was the 6th fastest in the world.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, I jumped into go-karting and won a couple championships in go-karting with my sister. And that's pretty much what taught me, like, the basics of car control and just how to be a driver, pretty much. And then jumped into off-road racing, got sponsored by Yamaha, and my sister got sponsored by Polaris.
Oh,
so
nice.
There was a little bit of a sibling rivalry.
I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And then we also raced mod carts and the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series.
Yep.
And then we did works in the UTVs.
So, did you ever race with Mia Chapman?
Yeah, I raced mod carts with her.
Oh, okay. She was just on the show. I actually released the episode today. So for people listening, it's March 17th of 2020. So I just released Mia Chapman's episode today. So I know you all were. She's just I think 2 years older than you, so you're pretty close in age.
Yeah, we raced with her for a while. It was always fun, clean racing.
Awesome. Okay, so what happened after that? The mod carts, and then what else?
So knowing people from the off-road industry, just I had an opportunity to get into a drift car when I was 12.
Okay.
And just started from there, and then it just kept building and building, and in 3 years I'd become the youngest professional.
That's awesome. So how did you get into a drift car at 12? I mean, it sounds like you knew some people, but how'd that happen?
So, if you're familiar with VOR, it's Vegas Off-Road Racing Experience. And
yeah.
They had a small, like, asphalt skid pad, and one of the guys who used to work there had a drift car. And he didn't have any time on his hands, and I'd always wanted to get into drifting. And so we offered him to, like, whatever we could do to help him to get a chance to get in it. And then from there, he taught me a little bit of stuff, just super basic, like doing a consistent donut and like little figure eights. And then the guys out at Vegas Drift, Nick Gizon, he saw that we had gotten a drift car like 2 months later, and then saw my background and how fast I was progressing, and let me practice out at his events, and just pretty much like vouched for me.
It's always been intriguing to me that good drivers can tell when other people are good drivers. There's all these things that I guess, us standard drivers like me, and I'm probably above average, but definitely not good. But if you think about all these people that they can tell like where your eyes track when you're driving, and how smooth you steer the wheel, and all these different inputs that you put into the car, and they can tell if you're good or not, and it's amazing. I work at a proving grounds in Marshall, Michigan, and we've got a couple of really good drivers on our staff there, and they do the driver training, and hearing them talk is like, it's just another level. Like, you don't even know what they're talking about, and you realize, oh, they're talking about driving a car. That seems like it's a basic thing, but it's not. It's so intense. So I'm always intrigued by that.
Yeah, I think racing go-karts at a young age is where it all started for us. And my dad always wanted the best for us, and so he would go out and find the fastest drivers out there, mm-hmm. and have them teach us that everything they knew.
Mm-hmm.
And having that ability to have access to like some of the best information has built us into the drivers that we are today.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Who are some of the drivers that you look up to?
Ken Block is definitely one of them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really wanted to get into rally driving and stuff like that, and I think that's about it right now, honestly.
No, that's awesome.
I try to make my own name for myself and try to stand out from everyone else.
Yeah. Well, I'd say you got that right now as being the youngest professional at doing it.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity of a lifetime. Like, you only live once, and you have to make the best of it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, what about nowadays? I mean, what are you like really excited about and fired up right now?
So I just moved from Formula Drift Pro 2 to Pro 1, which is one of the most competitive drifting series in the world.
Okay.
And so right now I'll be competing with drivers like Vaughn Gittin Jr., Forrest Wing, Chelsea Denofa, like all of the big mm-hmm. names that they've been drifting for longer than I have even been alive. And so it's really different to be driving with all of these different people, and looking forward to just where it takes me.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the difference between the series. A lot of people who listen to the show, they hear people in ATV and then UTV and monster trucks. It's all over the place, and they don't always know the series, including myself. So tell me a little bit more about the difference between the series you were in and what you're getting into now.
So the way drifting works, you start in Pro-Am, and that's your first level of competition. And there's like 15 different Pro-Am series across the United States.
Okay.
And then once you play top 3 in any of those series, you move up to Pro 2. And so Pro 2 is like kind of the, wouldn't say regional level, but there's only 4 rounds, and it's one step below being professional.
Okay.
And so once you place top 8 in Pro 2 out of the 40 drivers that were there this year, mm-hmm. then you move into Pro 1, which is the highest rank.
Okay. Yeah, so basically that's the only way you can move up is by consistently, performing well in your class.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I would definitely move up quickly then. Oh, no, I already told you I'm not that great of a driver. Well, that's cool. Well, tell us about your car.
So right now I have a BMW E46, and then we did a custom wide body conversion kit that like updates the look of it towards an M4.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has an RHS block with all Camp Comms internals and a Magnuson supercharger on top of it. And the motor is going into the car like this week, next week, hopefully.
Okay. And
we're shooting for around 1,200-1,300 horsepower.
Oh wow, that's awesome. The reason why I made that woot woot sound is I work at Eaton, and they make the rotating groups for the Magnuson superchargers. So there's probably a little tag somewhere on that supercharger that says, powered by Eaton on it. So that's why I had to say that.
Yeah, Magnuson superchargers right now, we partnered up with them for this year and trying to up the horsepower levels of the car and still try to keep it the weight down.
Yeah, good. Did I cut you off? I felt like you were saying something else too about the car, and I went on my Magnuson rant.
The way that drifting works is pretty much the only way that you're held back is your tire size. So you could go out there. It doesn't really matter how much horsepower you have, what car you drive. The only thing that holds you back is your tire size. And so if you're running a smaller tire, having 1,500 horsepower isn't going to help you because it's just going to blow the wheels right off the car.
Mm-hmm.
But we're trying to find that perfect balance right now of like how much horsepower we can get and still get 2 laps on one set of tires.
Oh, yeah.
And
2
also
laps.
still trying to keep the car fast enough to where the tire's not heating up too much. And like over spinning it.
That's it's crazy thinking about it that way. I mean, racers burn through tires, all the time. But what you just talked about, right, is 2 laps like that, and your tires are shot. That's a lot of spinning there. But I guess that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. So this year we're partnered with Nexen Tires, and they've been taking care of us so far. And set of tires lasts us like 45 seconds of real driving.
Oh my goodness, 45 seconds.
45 seconds to a minute, I'd say.
Oh, wow.
And
that's
so
tough.
Between me and Amanda on a competition weekend, we'll go through about 80 tires.
80? 80?
Yep.
Holy cow, man. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's like one of the highest costs of drifting.
So you're doing 40 tires each?
If it all depends on how many people are there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
how much practice we get and all of that. But
holy cow. It's crazy because I remember I interviewed Megan Meyer. She does Top Alcohol in NHRA, and she was telling me about she's sponsored by NGK. And I'd asked her, like, was it a product level sponsorship? She's like, yeah, they supply us with spark plugs. Like, oh, that's cool. She's like, yeah, we burn through a set of spark plugs and do a full engine rebuild after every run. And then we ran the math when we were, doing the podcast, and it was $15,000 a year in spark plugs. And like, we're talking about way more than that right now with tires. Like, that's just nuts.
Right now, a set of tires is like, I don't know how much they are retail, but I know last year it was like around $100 a tire.
Yeah, and retail they're probably like $250.
Yeah.
So let's figure out what the sponsor is. That's about 20 grand roughly. If I said $250 a tire for retail, if they were selling that much, that is crazy. But hey, I get it. I mean, that's what the sport's all about. You got to burn those tires off, but it's just until you really put some numbers to it, I don't think people put that in perspective.
Yeah, that's like one of our highest costs in drifting right now. The transportation there and tires. That's pretty much the only 2 costs that
really hurt you.
High up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I mean, speaking of that, who are some of your current sponsors, and who are the people that you're working with?
Right now, 212 Performance Gloves, Nexen Tire, Advanced Clutch Technologies, Momo, Fuel Suspension, AIM Sports Data, Willwood Disc Brakes, Rugged Radios, Borla Exhaust, Phoenix Industries, Magnuson Superchargers, I think that's most of them.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah, just another quick shout out to Magnuson. You know, I've seen some of the other vehicles that they work with and some of the other the people that they sponsor, and it's a good group to be with. So I guess another shout out to Nexen Tires, like, for, man, that's an investment. I'm pretty intrigued by that. That's pretty exciting. Well, cool. Right now I actually want to take a break and thank the sponsors for this podcast, and then we'll come back into the main event and talk through sponsorship tactics and strategies. Two questions I get continuously about this show and about sponsorship is, do I need my own website and do I need a resume? The answer is, in my opinion, yes to both, and that's why we partner with TopThePodium.com. Now, if you want to see an example of what a professional website and what a professional resume looks like, you gotta check out TopThePodium.com. They did my website. The Sponsored Rider Club podcast website is sponsoredriderclubpodcast.com. That was created by Jeff Vanistall of TopThePodium.com. I think it's awesome. I get a lot of good feedback about it. And there's a number of other websites out there that Jeff has produced that are just phenomenal. So I think it's important in this world of social media where you have control of your content. That's what a website does. It gives you full control. We don't know what Facebook's going to do sometimes. We don't know what Instagram's going to do. We don't know what Twitter's going to do. So if we don't have that central location to direct people and house our content, there is some risk that we incur. So I strongly recommend getting a website, talking to TopThePodium.com. And then the resume, again, is massive. And if you want to stand out, get it done professionally. And honestly, it is one of the best ways to step up your game and present yourself in the best way possible. Safety is our overriding priority. I hear it all the time, but I have to ask myself, is it though? Is that the first thing we think of? Is that the first thing you think of? Over the past couple of years, we've seen the performance of production UTVs increase, somewhere around 350%. That means these machines give us a lot more opportunity to have fun and win races, but it also, unfortunately, gives us new opportunities to crash. And that's why we have partnered with Crash Addict Industries. The owner, Travis Pointer, became very accustomed to crashing early in his career. He saw it as inevitable, and he set out to make the process safer. With a passion for racing, welding, and engineering, Crash Addict Industries now produces full cage and other protection systems intentionally designed to protect you during an accident on the track. They also offer a line of human protection products through their vendors. Do this for me at this point. If you're racing with a stock cage right now, please go check out CrashAddict.com and at least just see what they have to offer. Even if you choose to go with a different company, please make safety your overriding priority. Let's talk about your truck for a minute. You can count on it to haul your vehicle and your gear to the track or to the trailhead, but I bet you never think about the motor oil. Here's why you should. Your oil is the only thing preventing your engine from wearing out and breaking down. To keep your truck running strong, look for an oil with added wear protection. Like, for example, AMSOIL Signature Series synthetic motor oil. It delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than is required by the leading industry standard. It provides the next level protection today's demanding engines need to keep running for years and to keep effortlessly towing your ride to the track. Go to amsoil.com/rider to find out more. Make the switch to AMSOIL synthetic motor oil today to keep your vehicle running great. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. We are now in the main event, and this is kind of where we dive into some of those details. I mean, we introduced the sponsors that you work with at the beginning of the show, and now we kind of dive into how'd you meet some of them, how do you build relationships, things like that. And I do like to start with that. I want to understand, maybe for one or two of these sponsors, like, how did you even get connected with them? How'd that relationship come about? Is there any ones that you particularly would like to talk about?
With 212 Performance, I've been with them for I'd say about 4 years now.
Oh, okay.
And it all started from one of my dad's friends and just like connections here and there. And then we got to know each other better. And then we just built a really strong relationship, and they've been taking care of us ever since.
So you would have been, what, 11 years old then when you first kind of started working with them?
Yeah, just about.
It's hard to even know. I mean, I guess that wasn't that long ago, but I know when I was 11, I guess I didn't really know. I wouldn't have known what to do with a sponsor, right? I wouldn't have even thought about that at that age. I didn't race or anything. But did you know what was going on? Like, do you remember that time?
Barely. Like, I've been raised in the racing world, and so that's like all I think about.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the only thing that I know.
It's probably different, like growing up in that, right? You just naturally do things. You might not even know why. You just know that's how it's done. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's kind of one of the best ways to put it, I guess.
Yeah. So they've been with you through multiple sports then, right? Or I should say multiple disciplines, because at that time you weren't doing drifting yet, were you?
Yeah, so we started with them in the off-road,
Yep.
And then we were with them for about a year and a half, and then we got into drifting. And once I started competing in Pro-Am, they were really supportive of it and helped push me through all of that. And now I'm able to put them in the number one growing sport right now, which is second in social media to NASCAR.
Oh, really? That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Throughout Formula Drift, there's 2.5 million people that follow it.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a nice little plug, right, for the sport, and just a plug for understanding the reach of, the series that you're racing in. Because sometimes if you reach out to a sponsor and you're talking about, how you could help them, they might want to know those things. And if you can lead with that, that's great. Oh, hey, I'm the youngest professional drift driver in the fastest growing motorsports discipline, and also second in social media reach to only NASCAR in motorsports. Like that's good. That's good news to sponsors.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons we jumped into drifting, is like that's where the future of motorsports is heading. Mm-hmm. And you always want to be one step ahead of what's happening.
Yeah.
And so after we had a couple problems in off-road racing, like drifting just was there, and so we jumped into it.
No, it's good. Very good. What about another one? What's another company that you've been in contact with, built a relationship with?
AIM Sports Data, we've been with them since my go-karting days.
Oh, really?
Like 8 years, maybe.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so they helped us out a lot in go-karting, and then we jumped to off-road racing, and they already had a bunch of stuff made for like dirt bikes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I was really helping them in the mod carts. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we switched to UTVs, we helped them develop some of their first systems for the UTVs, like their belt temperature gauge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So that would have been, what, like 3 years ago or something you were doing that?
Yeah, it was like 3-4 years ago.
Oh, that's cool. So what would you do for that? I mean, they would give you a part, put it on the UTV or whatever you're racing, your mod cart, and then you drive it around and be like, hey, this thing's, working great, or it's not working good. I mean, how would that work?
Pretty much, like we told them what we needed and also what the demand was, because UTVs were going so fast. We tried to bring them into the sport
Yeah.
And so it wasn't just us that was benefiting from it.
Yep.
To make sure that your sponsor is also like in there too.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because you're saying they were into dirt bikes, but not necessarily like the mod carts or UTVs or other things like that.
Yeah, so as soon as like UTVs really started to take off, that's kind of when we got into them.
Oh, yeah, that's very cool.
So we did like most of their product testing, and we were kind of like their test guinea pigs to make sure everything was good before it was released onto the shelf, and just made sure that they were progressing with like rowing sports, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of those intangible assets that comes along with a good sponsorship relationship. If you can give advice on what the needs of the business are, or how the product design should be, and that adds a ton of value, because it costs companies a lot of money to do research on what the customers really want, and it costs them a lot to do testing. Like where I work at, it's a proving grounds, it's a full-on test facility, and it costs a lot of money to operate that, to test products out the way we want them to be tested. And if you have someone that is willing to do that in the field, right, like in racing, and give you that feedback, that's very valuable. So good. Next thing I want to talk about is, have you run into a situation where things maybe didn't go well with a sponsor? Maybe you were with somebody and you ended up parting ways, or you're trying to get a sponsor's attention or a deal and it didn't really work out. I mean, do you have any examples of that, or anything you've experienced?
Yeah, so we were with a certain company like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they promised us, like one of the main guys, it's a North Korean company, but they had one main person in the U.S.
Okay.
And he promised us a bunch of things. And so we turned down other opportunities to be with them.
Yep.
But then just disappeared. And he pretty much went around burning a bunch of bridges, and now it's
that's tough.
Make sure there's a contract involved.
There's a lot of people who say get a contract, and probably the only people who don't say get a contract are the ones who haven't gotten burned yet. Like at some point it's just, okay, well, I gotta have this contract in place. That's tough. That's tough. Now, don't tell me who the name of the company is or anything like that. But does the company still exist, or did that go away too?
The company still exists.
Okay.
Just not in the USA.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. I've heard some horror stories out there of, people just, like you said, disappearing. I won't share all the details, but I've got some details about things like that would have happened in the past. Tons of promises, and then just woof. Where'd they go? Yeah, that's tough. So how'd you get past that? I mean, that I feel like that would take some time to kind of get over.
Yeah, but we still had other opportunities just in case that did happen.
Okay. Had some plan Bs.
And so, yeah, we try to always have like at least one plan B.
Yep.
And so, just in case something does happen, something like that, then we'll still have another go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the deal might not be as good, but it's still better than nothing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Good. So what do you think is something unique that you've done to promote or, get your sponsors excited?
Well, with me, obviously, I'm one of the youngest pros, and I'm one of the youngest in the world. I am the youngest in the United States.
Yep.
And we try to carry their brand through us with everything that we do. So right now we do off-road racing, drifting, like we do pretty much everything. And we try to pick brands from drifting and bring them into new industries and just try to help build them and promote them everywhere that we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you've got the opportunity there to keep leveraging that, youngest driver thing. It's a nice catchphrase.
With, say, Radian right now, they make fuel pumps and fuel systems. They're pretty big into the drifting,
mm-hmm.
and now we're trying to make something work on our trophy truck to help bring them into new markets.
Mm-hmm.
And like normally we do everything that we possibly can for them. Like obviously you have to go through and you have to brand everything and promote them on social media and do special things for every single one of them. Like ACT will go down to their factory and make a whole video of how clutches are made and
mm-hmm.
just what separates them from everything else.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Going to their factory and kind of showing how things are made. That I love it when sponsored riders and racers go out and do that. I think it's one of the coolest things. So you've gotten a chance to do that though. That's great. Is there anything else that you've kind of learned over the past few years that whether it's being a youth racer, kind of growing up in a motorsports world, a motorsports family, or even just anything, general lessons learned from the motorsports marketing and sponsorship thing that you'd like to share with folks?
One of the main things is treat your sponsor as if it was your own business and
mm-hmm.
treat it like it was something that you put your whole heart into to build.
Mm-hmm.
So say you're the face of their brand in an industry, you need to make sure that you're never going to do something that would make them have like a bad name.
Yeah.
Or just treat it as if it was your own.
Yeah, no, that's really good. There's different renditions of that I've heard, like in the corporate setting too. People say, treat your budget, at work like you would treat your budget at home. Usually it's on different scales. Like my budget of, operating a proving ground is much larger than, the budget of operating my household. But, relative, I have to treat them very similar. Like I'm not going to make a bad decision about something I'm spending money on at work. Just the same as I wouldn't want to do it at home either. Like you got to treat it like that's your money, that's your business. I like the way you phrase that. Well, I only have a little bit left here, and I don't always get to ask this question, so I'm glad we're getting to it today. In the lightning round, I ask one question, and it's if you could sponsor anyone in the world, who would you choose and why?
Honestly, it would probably be my little brother.
Yeah.
Because he does stand out. He's 8 years old. He knows everything that we do, and I think he has more potential than us because we've taken everything that we've learned and passed it on to him.
Yep.
And he's 8 years old. He's already like racing go-karts. He's about to get a 570 and start racing off-road.
Nice.
And in our eyes, he has some of the best teachers.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. And what's his name again?
His name is Camren Sorensen.
Camren Sorensen, all right.
Yeah, he's trying to start his own brand right now named That's Sketchy.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to do like t-shirts and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. So is he soon to be the new youngest professional drift driver in the world?
I don't think he's gonna go into drifting.
Oh, okay.
he's 8 years old. Like, I'm sure
He's got some time.
Jump around like we did.
Yeah.
But he just placed third at the Mint 400. He raced his 65 on his dirt bike.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
And so I think he is definitely like, he's going to be someone to watch out for.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I'm excited to see that come to fruition. I just have like, I know a lot of people get excited about this, but seeing, youth racing is just it's so cool. Especially when you see like natural talent and when that's cultivated by people like, he's got his older brother and sister to show him the ropes and a family to show him, and other people might not have that, but they might have, close friends or, other people within the industry that just reach out and see the talent and want to harvest it. So that's good stuff. Well, that's all I want to cover tonight. I really appreciate you coming on, but we're going to wrap things up. I always ask people, though, before I close out, what's kind of one thing our listeners need to take away from the show? If they forgot everything else that we talked about, what's that one thing they need to remember?
I would definitely say if you are an athlete, you'd want to be a role model that you would want your own kids to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, always try to promote positivity, keep your image clean, and never do anything that's out of hand, or if you have to second guess it, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a saying that I've kind of remembered and I pull out from time to time when people are looking for advice about if they should do something or not. And I say, well, picture it being, published on the front page of I used to say newspaper. Those don't really exist anymore, but, on the front page of a newspaper or on a big article, like if it's pictured on there and you still feel good about it, then it's okay to do it. But if it's pictured there and you're like, ugh, I don't know about this, well, might not be the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. If you're trying to become an athlete or building yourself, I think that's definitely one important thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Branden, what's the best way for people listening to connect with you?
I'd definitely say Instagram.
What's your handle on Instagram?
It's just my name, Branden_Sorensen.
All right. Well, hey, again, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat. But at this point, I'm going to leave you with this. Have fun and ride safe.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Sponsored Rider Club podcast, which is powered by 4Wheel Parts. I want you to make sure that you are subscribed to this show, whether it's on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss upcoming guests and upcoming episodes. And then follow us on social media. We're on all of the platforms. You can find out the most content, though, on our Facebook page. That's where we do our live videos. To get some insider access to upcoming guests, you can also check out the Sponsored Rider Club on Facebook. It is a support network where you can ask questions about best practices and get feedback from our audience. And I also highly encourage you to check out our column in UTV Sports Magazine called Sponsor This. A special thanks goes out to our sponsors, 4Wheel Parts, AMSOIL, TopThePodium.com, and Crash Addict Industries. And I also want to shout out some of our other partners, MBRP, HMK USA, Studboy Traction, and High Octane Coffee. I look forward to serving you again next week. Until then, have fun and ride safe.